I think that when Joey said it's like the most important thing is who you go to battle with, the most important thing is your spouse, because you raise kids with them, you do everything with them. And so to go through even the lows with that person, we still somehow find a way to put a smile on each other's faces or just hug each other and cry or whatever that is in that moment.
Welcome to Believe in the Good with Haley Dillon, the podcast where we go beyond the track and into the lives of NASCAR wives, families, and the incredible community that keeps this sport moving. I'm your host, Haley Dillon, and here we're all about the stories that fuel us. The highs, the lows, the grit, the grace, and the goodness we find along the way. So buckle up, because we're diving into real conversations, behind-the-scenes moments, and the kind of inspiration that reminds us, no matter what, there's always good to be found. So let's hit the gas and let's get into it.
What makes you want to do this? Like, what was your, motivator?
So this has just been like burning a hole in the back of my brain for the last year. It keeps coming back to me that, like, that, first of all, it would be interesting to just sort of have this conversation with the wives or girlfriends, and it is so crazy what we do on the wife side of things that I just wanted to, I think the women feel, not that they feel unappreciated but I don't think people understand. And I just want these girls to feel loved on and valued and, hear their funny stories, because we all have such like crazy stories on the road. And what is it actually like? I think there's something that anyone could take from hearing your stories about Joey, and that you guys are just normal people and,
100%.
You love each other and you have highs and lows, and people would take so much from that. Like even Joey and Brittany have hard days, and then to glorify your amazing days too. And so I don't know, I just, something about it, it's definitely been a God thing that I've felt like, I don't know why I feel the need to do this, but I just want to, and I'm just kind of jumping in, and I don't know what I'm doing with it. But
I love it. Isn't that funny how God does that? Like, he really does. He just puts something in your heart and you just feel so called to do that. I feel like we've had that this year too, and like with a few things, and it does. It's like a pull. It's really strange. I try to explain it to people, and it's just a pull. You just feel it in your heart. You have to do something,
That's like the coolest thing, when you get those sort of nudges from God, and you want to just, I don't know what this is going to entail. And I think something for me is, I've just thought, I'm not going to let the enemy weasel their way into my brain, and I'm going to just go for it. I'm going to just try to let it be and
trust, right? Like, just trust him. And you don't know where it's going to lead, like what path it's going to take you on, but at least you're taking like the first steps, right? That's what me and Joey talked about this year. We're just going to take the first steps toward something that we believe in, and we don't know where it's going to lead us, but it's going to lead us somewhere good, we hope, because I don't think it's going to lead us in a bad direction. And things are going to be hard, but we're just going to do it and trust him. And that's really hard to do. So I think that's awesome.
If you care to share, what are some of the things you guys have felt that lately? You say you've had that feeling.
So we haven't shared, honestly, this with anybody. So we have 3 kids. We have Hudson. He just turned 7. We have Jameson. He's 4. And then we have Amelia. Her birthday's tomorrow. She's going to be 3. Our foundation is for foster care, and we've met a lot of foster parents that have been amazing. My mom was in foster care. We've worked with a lot of great organizations. And so we've kind of always had this, like, maybe we should adopt, maybe we should do foster care, maybe we should, and it's one of those things I feel like a lot of people say, oh, well, maybe one day, because things are hard. They travel, the kids are still young. And then we went to church one day, and I remember them talking about adoption, and it happened 2 times. I was like, oh gosh. And I felt like it was just like this pull, and we were in a room one of the times, and there was probably 25 people, and our church is a lot of older people. And there was a person that went up and talked about adoption, and they were like, there's somebody in this room that is meant to adopt. And I remember looking at Joey, and we looked around the room, and everyone was old. I was like, well, I said, not saying that old people can't adopt. I said, old people can definitely adopt. But I was like, I don't know. I said, I feel like this is really literally, he's like talking to just us, is how we both felt. And we kind of, to be honest, we kind of ignored it. That was over a year ago. And then we met with Amy and Nick Terry, and Nick actually married us, and Amy is in that world of foster care and adoption. And we just kind of talked and we got more educated on it, and we researched a lot. And we still said no. We still did not follow him. I'll be honest. We were like, this is just too much, because I was like, I don't know how we're going to do something like this. Like, you're gone so much. We have a good support system around us. Like, I have my mom, and we have his parents and my dad and people around us. But, you know, on the weekends, it's still, it's mainly, it's you. Like, you're the mom, the dad, kind of everybody for everyone. And even when we travel, the guys have to work and they have their thing. And so then it's just, you're doing the same thing, but you're on the road, and you kind of just see them at night when you go to bed, you know, you're still kind of by yourself. And our middle one is a handful. So I was like, I just feel like this is not for us. And it's kind of the same thing. We just keep feeling pulled, and we keep meeting people along the way. And so we went to a foundation event this last year at one of our organizations that they put on, Least of These. And it was another one of those speeches about they need foster parents and you need to help and you could be one of those people. So I called the founder of Least of These, Susanna, and I was like, okay, just spill it to me. What do we need to do? We're just going to start the process and see where that leads us. Because I think God is telling us just to take the first steps. I don't think that we need to make a total decision, but he's just telling us we need to start. And so she connected us with some more people, and we just started. Like, we just, so over the off season, that was our goal, was just to get our license. And so we have everything submitted. We haven't been approved yet or anything, but it was a process. It was a lot. And I think it was, no matter what, I told Joey, I think it was good for us just to do, working with the organizations, working with the foster parents, and just a newfound respect, like, for everybody, because it's a lot more than I anticipated, like the amount of time that you have to put in, the amount of certificates and things that you have to do. And not saying you shouldn't have to do those things, because having a kid is a big commitment. But I also feel like in some ways, me and Joey have talked, I feel like there needs to be some sort of reform done with this whole process, and just, you know, people that maybe have kids, like a fast track of some sort, like maybe they talk to the schools and see how the kids are at school and their hygiene, and make sure that you're a good parent, do the background checks and everything. But it's a huge process and a huge undertaking. And I just feel like for people that work full time, I can see why there's not as many foster parents. It's because it's a big time commitment just to get your license. And so I think, like I said, it was just a new, fresh perspective on everything, if anything else. And so, we took the first steps, and we'll just see where that lands us, I guess.
So exciting. I can't even imagine what a blessing you guys would be to foster a child. I mean, that's just so cool that you're following your gut about that you guys want to do that. That's something Ty and I have talked about. And I don't know that we're in that season right now where we're getting that nudge like you certainly are. So that's really cool. I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah,
and
you're seriously like first person I think we've told in NASCAR, because I feel like this is one of those things that it's like between you and God and between us and God, and it didn't need to be something like a spectacle or something that needed to be talked about. But at the same time, going through it, I do feel like I see a need for it. I see a need for reform, I think, in the system. And I think that if we can be even a bigger advocate than we already are for the foster kids and parents, I think that we can share that, and we're a little bit more educated on it. So I don't think it's a bad thing to share, you know?
I think that is so beautiful that you want to share that. And you don't have to share that. Just if there's ever anything, you know, that you don't, but I want to honor you. I don't want you to feel like I'm pulling anything out of you, or I don't want
not at all.
Commercial out of you. You know, I just want you to feel comfortable and us to just chat. But that is so beautiful. So do you think that you would foster to adopt? Is that the whole concept? I'm very new to the concept.
For us, yes, that's the hope, I think, is to foster to adopt.
Can you just foster and not?
You can just do foster care, yeah. So a lot of people are just foster parents, so they feel pulled to just be that home that's the in-between and just gives them the support and love until they can either reunite them with their family, which is kind of the number one goal for most people, is reunification, as long as it's healthy and, the parents find the help that they needed, or hopefully adopt if not, or help them find an adoptive home. So
wow, that's really cool. Well, I'm so excited for you guys.
I'll keep you updated at the track. I don't know. I told Joey, I said, it's kind of funny because I said, I feel like one day we're just going to show up with a kid and people are going to be like, who's this kid that's just shown up?
Well, they'll be embraced by all our kids that are at the track playing with each other. And that's what's funny, is even when our kids are playing with each other out on the playground and stuff, those are the moments that I feel like people obviously would love to see, which is private. And that's something too I wanted to ask you about. You're private on Instagram. Is there a reason that you...
Yeah, I mean, I'm private on Instagram just because, to be honest, I think I'm not very active on social media in general. I think I'm just bad at it. I think I'm just not good at posting things and taking pictures. I mean, even in my camera reel, I feel like I don't ever take out my phone to take a picture. I'm just really bad at that. And then
what you're good at is the moment.
I hope so. I mean, I think I take criticism okay too. I don't know if any negative comments, if they were there, if they would bother me, but at the same time, I don't know if I want to fill my headspace or any of my life, anything like that. And I guess, I don't know. But then at the same point, I guess doing a podcast and something like this and sharing what's on our heart about foster care, and I just shared with you, I think that there's a lot of weight to that and a lot of good in that. And so social media, I think, is and can be a great platform, but I guess I just don't feel that for myself. And I think Joey uses it well, and his foundation and everything. But for me, that's kind of why I just don't feel the pull to have to or want to do it, I guess.
I totally get it. It's definitely a balance of just sort of putting things out there and letting it be and not getting too wrapped up in it. And there are moments where I've been someone sifting through comments, and then I've gotten to a point where I'm just like, it is what it is. And I'm not as absorbed or consumed by it, but we all have our seasons of that. But I wanted to ask you, just so everyone can understand a full picture of how you and Joey met, because you've been together for so long, but how did you first meet?
So I was an ice skater. I was an ice skater since I was 6. And then his family, his sister,
ice skate so bad, and you need to tell me, how do I even get her involved in that?
Oh gosh, I could totally help you with that.
Yes.
Oh, you call me. Yeah, we can definitely get her all set up. That's easy. The hard part is that you have to be there every single day, and it's so early. And the Kozlowskis, I think, were getting Scarlett into it for a minute. And I told Paige, I was like, you're going to have to drive. It's an hour away. You have to stay there for a few hours and then drive back. And that's every day of your life, And if you have kids and other things, I'm like, oh, God, it's a time commitment, like any sport, I guess. But I was an ice skater, and I competed and did all the fun things. And then I worked at the ice rink too. I worked in the little cafeteria, back area. I fried the French fries and the chicken nuggets and all the things. And I loved it. I started working there when I was 14. The rink opened when I was 14. There was a smaller rink in Pineville that I used to skate at. And then we switched over to the new one when Joey and his family, they moved from Georgia and built this beautiful ice rink in Indian Trail, and his sister skated. And so I actually met his sister first, and I remember being out on the ice, and she came out and she was like, hey, I want to introduce you to my brother. And I was like, okay. And I guess Joey had seen me skating or something. I was like, hey, can you introduce me to that girl over there? So I skated over, and he was so awkward. He put out his hand, hi, I'm Joey. And I was like, hi, I'm Brittany. And that was it. And then me and Danielle, his sister, started talking, and it was just very awkward. He was just standing there, and I was like, okay, well, bye, And then forward a few months, and we went to a Christmas party for the ice rink at someone's house, and I went to sit down in the living room, and he pulled the chair out from under me, and I fell in front of everybody. And I was 15, right? I was 15, he was 16, and at that time, I was pretty embarrassed. I was kind of like, you're a jerk. Who does that? I just fell on my butt. Everybody. Yeah, these are my coworkers. This is my profession. At that time, I'm 15, and this is what I'm going to do with my life. You need to respect, And so he like helped me up and he was like, well, I'll make it up to you and we can go ice skating tonight at the ice rink. And that was like super cool to me because the rink was shut down. So he
Yeah.
was like, I know someone, we can open the rink. So he took me there and it was a whole like Happy Gilmore moment. Like the lights were low and he like held my hand and asked for my phone number and the whole deal. And he used to drive the Zamboni there. So it was a whole vibe, you know, it was fun. And we dated for a little bit and then we broke up and dated other people for a hot minute because we were young and we got back together. I was 19 when we got back together and then we've just been together ever since. So
Yeah. That's so cute.
yeah.
So what was like your first kiss? When
Oh
was
my
it like we're on a date? Was it the Zamboni night?
So no, it wasn't the Zamboni night. We met at Concord Mills and there was a Chili's that used to be there. And my parents, again, I was only 15. So my parents were like, well, we're going to go to dinner with you guys because we don't know this kid and let's just meet him, everything. So the four of us went to dinner, actually the five of us, because I think my brother was there. It was really awkward because, I mean, Joey's already, especially when he was 16, he was already really quiet and shy. And then add my parents and my brother to the mix. And it was just this very awkward time at Chili's. So we sat there, we did the thing, and then he's, well, let's go see a movie. And then we could go by ourselves. So I was like, okay, this will be better. So we went by ourselves and we're sitting in the movie and he asked if he could kiss me. And I was like, okay, sure, you know, and he did. And it was so sweet, but he had never kissed anyone before. And I think I had kissed one person. So neither
you
was
were his first kiss? That's the cutest thing ever.
And he went to kiss me. And it wasn't like the noise that you would make. It was just like a love tap. I was kind of like, okay. And I giggled a little bit and he was super self-conscious. It was a moment. And we tried again, but that was our first kiss moment. So it was I mean, now I laugh about it and I love that story because I feel like that tells more about Joey than anything because he's just a sweet person. Like that's just who he is. And people don't get to see that side because they see the competitive side. And he's also very competitive, you know? And I get to see the sweet side, like you get to with Ty, right? Like we get to see those sides nobody else gets to see.
You know, I will say, I feel like I've seen a bit of that in Joey and you and your relationship. I think that one time my mom and I were walking in New Hampshire. This was 100 years ago. I don't know, probably 6-7 years ago. We were walking in New Hampshire and you and Joey were walking. We were just like, there's been so many moments like this with you and Joey, but we were like, what are you guys going to do? And you guys were like, well, we got a fondue maker and we're going to go do fondue in our motorhome. And I was like, I love them. They're gonna go back to their motorhome, do fondue. No one would ever imagine. You know, people just probably picture Joey like even in his motorhome in his driver's suit or something, not knowing that he is just a normal guy, sweet, nice. You know, you guys have such a sweet relationship. Ty and I too. There's been so many moments where we're riding around on the golf carts and we're like going to look at the sunset, and we'll pull up and we're like, oh, there are Joey and Brittany looking at the sunset. You know, it's just refreshing that you guys are obviously besties. And that is something that Joey said. I was looking at this video where he said the most important decision you'll ever make in your life is the person you choose to go to battle with, and that's you. And I just think that is so true. And you guys, I think that for Ty and I, we are best friends, and you and Joey are clearly friends, and that is why you guys are so, you know, infectious. It's so sweet, and people maybe don't know that. Like, I loved that speech he gave when he talked about, you know, you are his support. And what does that look like? I mean, does he get upset? Does he come back after a crappy practice and talk to you about it? Or during the week, if he had a bad race the weekend before? I mean, how do you support him in the low times? Does he seek you for that support? Or does he, you know, is he more of a guy that goes and talks to his team? Or does he have a coach or a therapist? I mean, what does that look like for you guys?
Isn't that hard? I feel like that's hard. Like it's hard for all of us. And I don't know I'm sure it's different for everybody, but to be honest, like he comes home upset. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
don't feel like we spend too much time talking about it together because, to be honest, I've been in the sport a good amount of time like you have, but I don't feel like I'm super educated on much of it. So I don't feel like I can give him words of like wisdom or even affirmation, like other than just on his character and who he is. So
Yes.
I'm just like, you're amazing and you're a great husband and you're a great daddy. So I think at some point he realized, like, I'm not getting anywhere with this chick on like racing stuff. And so he doesn't, I mean, he'll act upset and he'll tell me some things, but I feel like that is more, he goes and talks with Paul, his crew chief, and his team, or he'll call Coleman, which is his best friend and his spotter, and they'll talk about that stuff. And I honestly feel like that's healthier because, as you know, I think this sport already, it takes a lot. It definitely gives us a lot, but it takes a lot of time and out of our lives. And so I feel like him coming home, being a little upset, and us just moving on, I think is healthy and good just for our relationship and for our family. So I don't think we spend too much time consumed with the
Yeah.
issues that he has on the track. And I think that he does a really good job too of coming home, he'll be upset, and then he shuts it off, you
Yeah.
know? And I think that they do that because they already, like, again, they already spend so much time at the track. And then during the week, I think something that people don't see is they go to the race shop. Joey works a pretty much a 9 to 5, 8 to 5 through the week too. And then he goes on the weekends. And I feel like so many people think that, oh, it's just a 2 to 3 day a week job and they just travel on the weekends. And I'm like, no, at
Never
least for us,
stop.
they're all the time. They never stop, you know, even in the off season. Like, I feel like they're very busy. They still do stuff. They have to do promo stuff and all the things for the following year. And so they're always busy. So I think the fact that he can shut it off when he does walk through the door for the most part is super helpful for our whole family.
Yes, that's good. That's very good. And he has had such amazing success, clearly. Did you ever anticipate that? Like when Joey is doing, when you guys are going on that ice skating date, are you like, or it's okay, that's a little early on, but when you're getting married, well, no, you had already been together for quite a while and experienced it. When you first started coming to the track with him, what was that like? You had known him since he was 15. You had known he was doing racing, but did you anticipate, did you want to have kids? Did you expect that this would be the life that you would have? Is this the life that you wanted, or what was the evolution of that like for you? Thinking, I'm going to be this professional ice skater, or whatever your desire, your visions and dreams were. What was it like for you, and has that been like a huge transition, or did you always think I'd get married and have kids and have this
Yeah.
husband that would be this huge
Right.
success and things?
Yeah.
What is it like for you?
I feel like, isn't that just like a God thing? Like, really? Because I feel like you have all these plans. Everything's a God thing, but like this in particular, me and Joey have talked about a lot because, when you get married and you have kids and you follow their dreams and their careers, you kind of, at least for me at the beginning, I kind of felt a little lost
Yeah.
because that wasn't my dream. I didn't know who I was going to marry or what any of this was going to look like. And then you definitely don't anticipate marrying somebody that is in a sport and in the spotlight, and you don't anticipate any of that, And so for me, like, I was an ice skater and I realized I wasn't going to the Olympics. I wasn't anything spectacular. So I went to college and I got my degree in psychology and sociology, and I wanted to get my master's and be a counselor. That was my goal. And so I worked up until like we had kids and everything like that. And then it was really hard for us to balance. So of course one of us had to stay home, and obviously he made more money. So I stayed home. And so it's just kind of progressed. But I feel if you took me back to 15 years ago and you told me what my life was going to look like, I would have been like, no way. Because to be honest, when we first got together, I wasn't even sure I wanted to have kids. I kind of was selfish and I wanted to have my career and my dreams and aspirations fulfilled. And then I remember I got diagnosed with PCOS, and like I wasn't having regular cycles and all those things. And they told me, they're like, I think it's going to be really hard for you guys to conceive. And so at that time, I feel like when somebody tells you that, all of a sudden, like it was like a light switch. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
well, wait, I think we want kids. I think I do. I'm pretty sure I do now, you know? Then we started trying because I was nervous that it was going to take us a while. And it did.
Did you try before you
We
started going
tried
back to the
for,
IVF?
we tried for maybe just maybe 2 years. But I don't know about
Oh,
you. Like for me, that felt like forever because
yeah.
when you're told, oh, it may not happen, then you, especially with that first baby, you're like, but I just really want to grow my family, and you get just nervous and scared and all the things, and so it felt like a lifetime. But we had Hudson, and then we did IVF and had Jameson, and then Amelia was just kind of like a miracle baby, and she came naturally, and she is
Wow.
just meant here. But yeah,
So with Hudson, did you do IVF?
we did.
I remember we were super pregnant at the same time. I can remember going to your shower and being like 1,000 months pregnant,
Yeah.
and you were still just like really cute and
Oh my
pregnant.
gosh.
I was gigantic.
Oh,
I'll have to go
oh,
back and look and see how far along I was at that point, but I remember I knew they were very close in age. And
yeah.
so you,
Even Captain. How old is Captain?
yeah, Captain's 4. I feel like Jameson and Captain's birthday is in October 2020.
Okay, and Jameson's May 2020. So they're pretty close too.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And then Amelia was your little surprise.
Yeah. That's why, to be honest, we thought we are for sure done, close down the factory. I don't want to be pregnant. And then kind of everything started happening with the foster care adoption stuff. And that's why I was like, no, no, like, God, no,
Yeah.
we're not doing that. I feel like you have these arguments, like, at least I do, like with him and in prayer, and with Joey, and we both just looked at each other and we're like, we're not going to do this. And he's
Yeah.
just, I feel like, has been pulling us, and but you need to, you know. And
Yeah.
so that's where we're at. So our fight with God, and we lost.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's the whole we make plans and God laughs thing.
Yeah.
But was it Amelia that you were super duper pregnant when he was at the Clash?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And as soon as he won the clash, and then he came home that night, and we went to the hospital the next day and had her.
And he made it. Like,
Oh,
because that's
yeah.
one of the things he was worried, she is so pregnant and I'm gonna put her in labor doing this race. And didn't he win?
He did. He won. Yeah. It was like a whirlwind of a weekend. But
Yeah.
and he had talked about it before he left. Should I go? Should I stay? What should I do? And I was like, just go. Just do if I go into labor, like I'll call you. And it was hard because it wasn't like Bowman Gray this year where it's like, hey, I can drive down the road and go meet you at the hospital. No, it's like a whole 8-hour ordeal by the time they get on the plane, get over and drive back home. But I was like, you're in labor for a good amount of time most of the time. So it was
Yeah.
only our third baby. What could have happened, It was fine.
Did you end up with Hudson? You had sort of an emergency C-section, I want to say.
So with Hudson, we had him like normal. With Jameson, I ended up having an emergency C-section. They said that his heart rate was dropping and they needed to get him out. And I was like, okay. So we did the C-section. And then with Amelia, I really wanted to do a VBAC. And so that's what we did. And it went perfect. It was great.
That's so awesome. I had 2 VBACs. Oakley was my C-section after the whole long ordeal of trying and pushing for 3 hours. And it was just, we weren't getting anywhere. Knowing what I know now, I think I could have handled things differently and probably could have gone differently. But, it all happened for a reason, and she was here and healthy. And then I had
Right.
2 VBACs with the boys. So cool that you decided to, still do that. And they are the cutest kids, and they're such a combo of you guys, which is so interesting. You know how some kids, you look at them and it's, oh, that's dad, that's mom. But I really
Yeah.
see both of you. Your mom looks like your sister. I mean, you guys get that all the time. You guys look alike, and she just looks so young. And I mean, what is it? Do you have any beauty tips for us? Do you have a, amazing skincare regimen that we need to know about?
She gets asked that all the time. Honestly, she just takes care of herself. She works out every day and she eats right and all the things. But I'll tell you, every time we go somewhere, like me, my mom, and Amelia, everybody always thinks that Amelia is her daughter because they look so much alike. Because Amelia has like that long blonde hair and she's super fair skinned and green eyes. And my mom has blue eyes and blonde hair. And so I'm just this little adopted child over here, you know. I don't know. I mean, so
So
it's kind of
cute.
funny, but yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool. So you guys have been married for 10 years now. Did you do anything for your wedding anniversary?
We stayed at the Davidson Inn. Yeah, so we went and we stayed the night there. I mean, it's literally like 5 minutes away from our house, but we
Yeah.
stayed the night there and we got tattoos that night. I'm not a big tattoo person myself. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm just not big on them. But Joey forever has been like, I want to get a ring tattoo. So that way, like when he gets in the car, he doesn't have to wear his ring. And I was like, okay, well, let's just do it together. So he like set up an appointment for our 10-year anniversary and we got ring tattoos. And so like, I don't know if you can see it, but we got little like east-west crosses and we got matching ones. And so he's so funny because now he's like, I don't have virgin skin. And he has to show everybody like his tattoo. He's such badass, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Do you guys have any other tattoos or is that the only one?
No, that's the only one. Yeah. I think for me, like that will be the only one. I'm just not big on them for myself. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good night. We went to dinner and did that. And we felt so cool at dinner, just like looking at each other's tattoos.
Yeah.
We're like, look at this. We're tatted up. We're so cool. You know? So.
That's cute. We don't have any tattoos, but the one we have talked about is doing something like that. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary too. We got married. I remember getting married very close together.
Right.
Did you get married in December as well? We got married December 20th.
Yeah, we're the 13th.
Yes, 12, 13, 14. That's right.
Yeah.
We couldn't have that weekend.
So what did you guys end up doing for your anniversary?
For our anniversary, we went to we went to Whistler. We were out in Washington and we drove up to Whistler and we stayed there for 2 nights and snowboarded and ice ski and snowboard. And we were so relieved. Like we both talked about it later that last run of the day, we both were like, phew, neither one of us got hurt, you know? Like you hear all these stories. I mean, I think it was Chase Elliott broke his leg snowboarding or something. I don't remember what the situation was, but I'm like, you cannot get hurt. I mean, even when we're like playing pickleball, I'm like, you've got this opportunity. Don't you go and tweak your knee or something, you know?
I know. How exciting for you guys too. That's amazing. And I'm so happy that we get you guys at the track still and like that he got that opportunity. So amazing.
I know I was saying this the other night at that event we had gone to, but it's the 9 lives of NASCAR for us. And it's like wild how we've just kind of come in and out of full-time. And, this will be his 7th year full-time, I think. Anyway, it's just, and it's been for 13 years that we've been together. He's been racing. So it's just been such a journey. People ask me this all the time. Do you get nervous? Like when I watch the race, I like to be alone. Ideally, I would love my kids to be watched. I want to be able to absorb and watch it myself. I don't want a big crowd. But then I hear some of the people love to have a bunch of people over to watch. And I don't know. You would think it would get easier. And maybe it's just because of Ty's journey and how it's been unique. I've gotten more nervous through the years. Like I think it is harder for me now than it's ever been. Is it easier for you now to watch him, or how do you feel?
I think the kids have, like you said, I mean, ideally it would be great to just sit and watch the race. But to be honest, the kids have made it easier for me as far as I can't focus on the race. So I feel like I don't end up getting like it sounds bad, but super crazy into it during the races because they're all running around like crazy and I have to go chase them. So I have my phone with me and I'm trying to listen to him and I'll peek over at the TV and then one's running one way. And we end up watching, honestly, most of the races at MRO when we're at the track because the kids can play and I can kind of watch and have my phone and listen to him and stuff. But I'd say it's gotten easier with that. I still hate Daytona, Talladega. I feel like everyone just sits and waits for the big one, and that's nerve wracking. But otherwise, I mean, it's and you being Ty's like support system and always there for him and everything that you guys have gone through. I feel like that has amplified, like you said, probably even more so, because it's like you want it for them so bad, and like I definitely that, and you know what it's like when they come home and they are upset and for their spirits, and so that's hard, and then it's hard on the whole family. It's hard on everybody, and then you have to kind of lift him back up. Like that's a lot.
Yes. Well, and we do, like you were saying, where you guys don't let it get to, it doesn't run into your week and affect you guys. Like, I would say if there's ever a rough race weekend, a Monday is kind of like slow, not super thrilled, but we get over it fairly fast too. And the nice thing about racing is it's so fast. The next week, it's just like, well, let's move on, and even when it goes well, it only is for a week. And when it goes bad, it's only for a week, and you just kind of move on to the next one. So I think that we do a good job of sort of putting it away and not worrying about it too. But yeah, it's been a bit of a journey for us. But so what does it look like for you guys? How do you get to the track? Like, do you guys have a plane, have a team plane? What do you do? And then how many races do you take your kids to? And do you ever sneak away? Like, what's your whole weekend?
Yeah. So typically Joey takes the team plane, and it used to be me, Joey, and Hudson that would be able to take the team plane, but now we have grown our family, and so we're not all able to go on the team plane. So now we end up taking Victory a lot. It's like the NASCAR kind of fleet of planes that everybody kind of gets on, the teams and everything. So we fly that most weekends. He'll fly Wheels Up, a little charter plane, every now and again too. But I kind of married like the worst person for my fear, because I really don't like flying. So I know, but we face it, we do it, and it's fine. But so that's kind of how we end up getting to the track. How do you guys get there?
Victory. Yep. We're Victory Air. Every now and then we'll try to fly with Richard if he's going, which is fun and bougie. But typically I'd say that's maybe twice a year for us, but typically we go Victory, and Victory Air is always interesting. You get on there and those guys have been working so hard, and then you've got your kids that are like fighting or screaming. Or have you ever been in that situation?
Oh, every single weekend. I feel that it's like pressure. And then I feel kind of dumb, like bringing that up to Joey, because I'm like, I don't know, I just feel bad for the guys, and like I get nervous. And then I feel bad saying that to him too, because I'm like, you're so nervous all the time. Like, you guys have to do this every week and have so much pressure on you, like for the whole week, and for your weekend and the day you have to race. And here I am talking about pressure on an airplane with my kid. But yes, I really do feel it's real. Yes.
When your kid is like deciding to have a fit over something on one of those like 2-hour planes, 2-hour Victory flights, and those guys are, it's 7 a.m. and all the windows are shut, and they just want to like sleep or watch a show, and I get it, and I respect it, but it's usually not the flying out, it's usually the flying home. It's always the flying home ones that I'm like, I'm sorry, I know it's late. You guys have just worked your ass off all weekend. And especially if they're like, is a team that isn't happy or whatever, you're just like, oh, I'm so sorry. Here I am with my 3 loud children.
I totally feel that. Or it's like you see people from other teams that maybe like that weekend Joey had the little run-in with. And I'm just like, it's very awkward. I'm like, oh, hi, I don't know. Yeah. It's just, all dynamics are strange, because I feel like with like a basketball team, they all fly together. They all are very cohesive and know each other and fun. And with us, it's so different, because I feel like all the guys compete with each other, but then they go to MRO and all the kids play together, but the guys don't necessarily, they're not all friends. So like people ask me about that dynamic all the time. And I'm like, well, with the wives and the kids, like we all talk and the kids all play, because if not, it would make for some long, lonely weekends at the track. So it's different. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I don't think that people necessarily understand that concept, but when we go victory, like you guys, it's not commercial, so it's not, you don't have to do TSA and all of that, but it is not glamorous. It's a very small, very tight plane. These are all big men, and they're in this tight quarters, and then it's all different jumbled teams. So if there is some sort of a spat on the track, you're getting on the plane, like they're very well, you could be on the flight with those people. So it doesn't just end at the track. It's like an odd hours home situation, it carries on. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, it is. It's strange. But yeah, and then as far as going to the races, just the two of us, we try to pick like 1 to 2 a year. That's just us that I'll go to, which that's kind of new for us. We probably started that 3 or 4 years ago, and I love it. Like, I feel like that's so healthy and needed because, I mean, you try to do like the date nights and it just doesn't happen every week, For us, it's maybe every other week, and we really have to try and push for that just with his schedule and the kids' schedules and everything. So to be able to have like uninterrupted 2 to 3 days, it's nice, even if he is working. Yeah.
And it's just such a nice break for you with those kids. I never realized how tired I am until you just are going and going with your 3 kids. And I never realized until those weekends when I go, I'm like, oh, I get to relax. This is so nice. I'm not
up and make somebody else food all the time. Yeah, you get to just sit and make yourself food and watch a show, like just that you want to watch, that's not Bluey. I mean, granted, Bluey is really cute. We really do love Bluey.
It'll bring tears. Even I have definitely sat there and gotten so sucked in and cried over Bluey.
Yeah, it's super cute.
So what's a date night look like when you guys get one when you're at home? Our go-to spot is Epic Chop House. I mean, what do you guys do? Do you go out to dinner?
I don't feel like we ever go to Epic, and we may need to try that. We tried it, but it was years ago. We may need to do that again. So we end up going to Choplin's a lot off exit 28.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I feel like it's really forgotten about, but it's so good. And they have this like crab cheese fondue thing. Again, fondue, bring it back to the... And so we do that. Joey loves massages. So we'll go. I like them. I'm not as big on them, but he like them. So we'll go do that, or we'll go play putt-putt, or go try to like do an activity, like something fun, go play laser tag together. I know it sounds funny, but we like doing kid stuff. Yeah. And so we'll do stuff like that together. And it's typically just like dinner and then a fun activity of some sort. So
that is good. We are lucky if we can get a dinner, and then we will drive around and look at houses because we just want the babysitter to put our kids to bed.
Yes. I feel
so we'll just want to buy some time so that we don't have to get kids to sleep.
So special, even if it's just sitting in the car and like driving around and talking, because like when you have kids, I mean, you're in the car, you're driving, and your kids are in the back, and they're like, I want a water. That's not my water. Like, at least for us, Amelia's, I want the purple water. When it's not full, and it's this, and it's that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't get a word in edgewise if Joey's in the car and we're all in the car. So
it's the second you're trying to have a real conversation, they are like, no. I need your attention right now. It's so important. It's, it's not Bluey or something.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. When you go to the motorhome on the weekends, do you guys eat out, or do you cook? Do you like to cook? Does Joey like to cook?
Joey, no. And then even me, Haley, I look up to you so much because like you post your cooking videos, and I've actually made some of the stuff that like you've posted about, because I'm like, I don't know how you do it. That's so good. And I feel like I'm a very like simple person because I don't want to put that energy in, and like I don't have the mind for like a cooking mind, like to put stuff together and have it taste good. I feel like if I put stuff together, it just wouldn't taste good. But anyway, so I end up making very simple. Like I'll make like chicken and rice and vegetables. Like, but we do end up staying at the track, and I cook pretty much breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Every now and again, there's a few restaurants at different tracks that we go to that we really, so we'll go out maybe once throughout the weekend. But for the most part, we just stay at the track and I make whatever's there, but it's very simple stuff. And then the kids are very simple. They're like mac and cheese and grilled cheeses and stuff. So
Totally. Do you have a favorite track?
I'd say probably somewhere up north. I love New Hampshire. I love Michigan. I feel like the antiquing around there is really cool. I feel like the food is better. And I think that definitely has to do with just like it's snowing all the time. Like they just are like, what do? We got to be in and we got to cook, And so the food's great and the landscape. Yeah. And the landscape's so pretty. Like when we go, because when we go up north, it's like typically like nicer weather. So it's just beautiful. So I'd probably say those two tracks are my most favorite. But also those are the tracks that we don't go to much anymore because MRO doesn't go. And so we don't end up going. But maybe that should be like one of our weekends this year.
Have you ever gone to the Castle in the Clouds in New Hampshire?
No. What is that? Is that a restaurant?
It is. Yeah, I think it is New Hampshire. I will double check. It is a castle built 130 years ago or something. I don't know when it was built, but it's an old castle that I don't know the history, but they have an amazing restaurant and it has the most amazing view. Yeah, it's gorgeous. You guys would love it. You should definitely try and go there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to look it up like as soon as we're done, and then that's going to be our weekend that we go. That sounds so good.
Also, is it New Hampshire that's Lake Winnipesaukee?
Yes. And they have that. Have you seen the little drive-in movie across the way from there? Little town with the drive. Yeah, it's so cute. Oh my gosh, I know. It's just like a different vibe up north. I feel like everything. It's just totally, it's great. So I'd say those are my favorite for sure. Yeah. How about you?
I agree. I think that those are probably a couple of my favorite, Michigan and New Hampshire. I love the time and the atmosphere when we're at Daytona, and the race is so exciting. But it's so stressful, But I do love the atmosphere, and usually our whole family goes, so that one's always really fun and big. When do you guys head down to Daytona?
So Joey leaves Tuesday. Does Ty have to leave pretty early too?
Yep, we're actually all going to go down on Tuesday. We're just
okay. Oh, good. That was actually kind of going to be our plan too, but then Hudson, we went to Disney this off season, so we did Disney, and then we came home and we had the aftermath of Disney, which is sickness, and so he was sick for a whole other week, so he literally missed like 2 weeks of school. We can't miss any more school, so we're going to leave Thursday after school, which will be fine, but Joey will leave Tuesday, so we'll meet him down there next Thursday.
Yeah. What are some of your highest highs you've had and then is there any like lows that are relatable? Obviously you don't have to tell me your worst thing that ever happened in your relationship, but like what was a low moment that you guys had to really dig yourself out of? And what was like a moment that is like top 5, one of the best things that happened in your relationship? It doesn't have to be racing related, but what are some of those highs and what are some of those lows that you guys have experienced together?
So I think it was 2020 and Joey had made the Final Four for Phoenix. And I flew out there and I left Jameson because he was little and I brought Hudson with me. And actually I was pregnant and nobody knew. And I miscarried during the race. And we kind of knew it was maybe coming because my numbers were really low and they had called me and they were like, well, we think that it may happen. But you know how those things work. Like we're not sure, And so I remember we were in a suite and I had Hudson with me and Joey's parents were in the suite with us. And thank goodness there was actually nobody else in the suite, which is kind of strange because you would think Phoenix being the Final Four, there would be more people, but there wasn't. And there was a bathroom like in the suite. And I just remember sitting there and I was like cramping really bad. And it was like during the race and I was already nervous because, it's the Final Four and you're already there. And then everything just started happening. And I went to the bathroom and it was just super painful. And so after, he did not win. And so he came out of the car and he was already upset. And then I didn't want to just throw that news on him too, because, hey, we just had a miscarriage on top of everything, And so it was just a very like strange, but I also needed to tell him because like I was going through that. And so I feel like that was just like a very low like week for us after that, like for both of us. And so yeah, I'd say that.
Sure. I'm so
The
sorry.
whole like oh, it's okay. The whole IVF process. I mean, that's the thing. Like you said, everybody in life goes through stuff, and it's not even that we try to hide it. Like, I don't feel like we hide it. I just, probably like most people, we just don't share it unless we're asked about it, or it's something that somebody else has gone through and like we can share too. But you're right. Like we all go through stuff, and we're all human beings, and we all have our own battles. But I think that when Joey said it's like the most important thing is who you go to battle with, that's 100% the most important thing is your spouse, because you raise kids with them, you do everything with them, and so if you marry the wrong person, it makes child rearing harder, it makes your job harder, it makes everything harder. And so to go through even the lows with that person, we still somehow find the way to put a smile on each other's faces, or just hug each other and cry, or whatever that is in that moment,
Laughter seems important to you guys, to find the joy and find the good in life. It seems like you guys, have the reality, the good balance of, maybe it's putting on a funny show together and just being together, and not letting life get too serious, trying to just sort of love on each other. And one of the things I think I see you guys giggling and laughing together. And I think that that's really special, that you have that friendship that we were talking about.
Yeah. And I think you guys are the same way. I feel like me and Joey think about you guys, and it's like, it's nice to have that. And it's funny you say a show, that's us. At night, I feel like we both try not to talk too serious about stuff unless we really need to. But if not, like we turn on Modern Family, like that's our show that we watch. And I think we like literally, like, we laugh out loud every time in bed. And I swear Joey is Phil. He is Phil Dunphy. Like
he is Phil Dunphy.
Yes. He's so Phil. And he says I'm Claire. And I probably am a little Claire-ish for sure. But he's just so funny. And so, yeah, laughter is definitely probably like you guys. It's big for sure.
So important.
Yeah.
That's so good. Do you guys, Ty and I have certainly had struggles in our marriage that we've had to go and seek counseling. And we're so grateful for those moments. For my therapist, I still talk to her once a week. Is that something that you guys have ever done, or maybe premarital counseling or anything like that?
Yeah. So before we got married, we did some premarital counseling, and I feel like that was great. And they did the little test with us. I'm sure that they did that I think they do it with everybody, who you are as a person, who they are as a person, and then kind of like showing each of you all of your stuff together, whatever. So we did that.
That's really interesting. We didn't do a whole lot of that, but I like that. That is a good idea to sort of see what you both, what do you see,
like personality thing. Yes. And then it asks questions too, like maybe what bothered you about, or what bothers you about your person that maybe you wouldn't like think about or say. I don't know. Yeah. Like I'm a terrible morning person. And like Joey doesn't really address that, which I appreciate. But like it made you address those things and then us talk about it. So I think that was healthy, because I feel like we talk about most things, but I do think that we try to stay positive with each other. So I think that maybe I don't think we shove it under the rug, but maybe we do stuff like that. Like he's not going to say you are like the worst human being in the morning, because I am. And I'm not going to say, hey, you're a complete slob all the time. Like, I just clean up after you because I love you and we don't talk about it, And so, yeah, I think that premarital counseling and counseling in general does that for you, right? Like, it makes you talk about those things. Now, since we've been married, we haven't. Not saying we shouldn't. I feel like it's super healthy, but we haven't. He does see like a sports psychologist from time to time that I know helps him. Like, his team and his crew chief and them work together, which I think is super helpful. But yeah, so.
Well, I think that you guys have a really great balance of you choose to see the best in each other. And I think that that is so important in marriage. You're focusing on the good with each other, and each other's not perfect. And I think that that's obviously evident with you guys, and it's very sweet and it's very admirable.
Knowing, like you guys, that the other person's intentions are not to be against you. Because I think that innately, I think we all feel like somebody's trying to hurt us or attack us or, come at us. And I think that if you really think deep and think this person does not want to do that to me, they don't want to hurt me, they want to love me, they're not doing this to hurt me. I think that if like you change that perspective to that, I think that helps a lot, because there are times where I'm like, he knows that he's supposed to pick up his underwear and his water bottles that he leaves everywhere, and he knows that really bothers me, and he doesn't do it. Like, he must be trying to just piss me off, but when I really think about it, I'm like, Brittany, that is so dumb. Like, why would he want to do that? And so I just know his intentions are not to hurt me. And I think that keeping that always in mind is good, because they're our partner. They don't want to hurt us, And so I think if we can just talk about our issues with that person, and I think that you can get through pretty much anything.
Totally. And choosing that person to go to battle with, it's you against the world. Not that you always have something against you, but it's same team. That's the most important thing about this is your teammate for life, that we're on the same team for life, and that's the partner you choose. So that's really cool. Do you guys have any silly nighttime regimens that you do? Do you sleep with a mouth guard or any funny behind the scenes?
Oh my gosh. We're so hot when we go to bed, Haley.
Yeah.
I have pimple patches on and my night guard. He's got a night guard. He sleeps with 3 pillows, like one in between his legs, one at the bottom, one up above. I like to sleep a little elevated. Like, it's a whole thing. And that's obviously progressed as we've gotten older, as like our aches and pains. Like, it's so weird. I feel like now, like, I wake up and I'm like, gosh, my back hurts. But like, why does my back? There's no reason for my back to hurt. And so like your sleep, the way you sleep changes. And I've read like you have to sleep on your back now. So now I'm trying to like sleep on my back. And I tell Joey that I'm like, you should sleep on your back. It's going to help you, And so like those conversations, and sometimes we talk about that. I'm like, if people could hear some of our conversations, they would be like, these people are crazy. It's just so, yeah. But I guess everybody's probably like that. That's probably pretty relatable. Like, you guys are probably like that, right?
Oh, yeah. We're super sexy when we go to bed. With mouth guard, nose thing. Every night. I'm like, and every night it's like I choose the moment I put my mouth guard in to have a full-blown lispy conversation with him. I have so much to say the second I put it in.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get it.
Well, it's been really fun to talk to you. Is there anything that you want to, talk about, bring up, something that's important to you that, you're like, oh man, I wish we would have had a chance to talk about this? Do you have anything like that?
I think so. We've covered a lot. It's been good. This has been fun. I feel like it's just been like girl time. It kind of stinks because I feel like during the off season and even like outside of racing, I feel like none of the girls all hang out because, like we talked before, I feel like the guys aren't like super great friends. And so that kind of
keep that attitude of like competition. And for me, I think that's a reason why I wanted to kind of do this, is because it's like, this is all such a vapor. This is all so temporary. And 10 years from now, well, maybe not 10, okay, 20 years from now, this is going to be a thing of the past. But the things that we can take with us are the relationships. And I think that's kind of why I wanted to do it, And like you say, we don't get the time during the off season necessarily to see each other, because we all are also just absorbing that time that we're not on the road. That's our only chance to kind of get a moment to go somewhere or do something. And So it's so fun to be able to talk to you.
Yeah, same, girl. Yeah, this has been good.
Well, thank you. I will definitely would love to talk to you again. You know, there's going to be, Joey's bound to win a race one of these weekends. I can't wait to hear how it is on your side of things. And I think people just would love to hear from you about what's the weekend look like for you when those awesome race wins happen. And I just have so much respect for you guys, and you've just got to be so proud of what you guys have accomplished, and you should be so proud of yourselves.
Thanks. I think that everybody has their accomplishments, right? Like we talked, like you and Ty just going through the ups and downs and the 9 lives of NASCAR, as you put it. You know what I mean? Like you guys have done a lot. So I feel like we said, I mean, you go to battle with your person, and that's just what you do. And you celebrate the highest of highs, and you get through the lowest of lows together.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me. And we'll have to talk again, for sure.
Yeah, for sure, girl.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. I'm so grateful you spent this time with us. It means the world that you're here. And if you loved this conversation, make sure you check out the show notes for all the links and any resources we mentioned. I would love it if you followed me over on Instagram and YouTube. This is where I like to share things about my life, little tidbits about our family. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, the best way to say thank you is by sharing with a friend, leaving a review, and rating the show. It helps this conversation reach more people who believe in the good. See you next week.